Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Raiders Daily, Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the last Raiders Daily, or the last Thursday Raiders Daily before the NFL draft. We obviously have tomorrow, and then we have a whole week of Mo Moton, and then I'm off Thursday and Friday, and then we'll be back in May. But for right now, we got a lot to discuss. You guys know the drill. Whether you're watching on Bleacher Report, make sure we're getting it going in the chat. Whether you're watching after the fact on YouTube, my YouTube channel, ALLaBorde Raiders, thank you so much for joining me. Either way, hit that like button if it's after the fact, comment away. I've already seen people in the chat talking and discussing a lot of, I think the operative word is chaos surrounding the Raiders this last 48 hours. Now, it's not chaos with a new organization, but it's a little chaotic in terms of what's going on around them with certain draft odds moving maybe away from Ashton Jeanty. There are left tackles that play for the Raiders that want new contracts. Jakobi Meyers wants a new contract. There's a lot going on here. And before I get into reading the articles or put out any polls, I wanted to say up top on my YouTube channel earlier today, I made a video entitled, I have no idea who the Raiders are going to draft. And I actually do sincerely feel that way. Last year, I was pretty convinced it was going to be Penix, and I do think that was going to happen if the Falcons didn't trade up for him. And then when Brock Bowers was drafted, look, I didn't predict that we were going to draft Brock Bowers, but I had just mentioned don't be surprised if this is some out of left field dark horse thing. And my goal with that YouTube video that I posted was to make sure Raider fans are prepared to hear a name that you didn't have set in stone in your mind, and to make sure you take a second to understand the vision of what we're doing, why we took this player, before you start to scream and yell. Because when we took Brock Bowers, people were upset. I was one of the few people that was excited by it because I knew the prospect of being able to replace Devontae Adams with someone as special as a Brock Bowers. Now, this year is different. After Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, you're going to be hard pressed to find an impact all pro right away. That's the consensus among all the scouts. You're going to find diamonds in the rough, no doubt about it. I feel a sneeze coming on. I'm fighting it. I fought it away. Put a pin in that. It'll come back later. Where was I going with that? Just be prepared to hear a name that's surprising. Now, I don't think you're going to hear a name that you go, who? I don't think it's going to be Cleveland Ferrell or Damon Arnett. But being a Raider fan comes with the territory of being a little nervous about hearing the person that we were going to draft and being worried about not knowing who that person is at all. Someone we could have gotten in the second round, like a Cleveland Ferrell, maybe late first round. You know what I mean? We had 3 first-round picks that year. We could have got him with our last pick, and we took him with our first pick. So if you hear Jalen Walker's name, if you hear Will Campbell's name, those people are projected to go around those picks. I don't have a problem with hearing those people. The only thing is, it's going to be surprising because everyone has been saying, not in the organization, but out of the organization, including me, that it feels like Jeanty's going to be the pick. But with a week to go, and again with this Kolton Miller thing, you start to think, does it really make sense to go running back at 6, as good as Jeanty could be, when this is, far and away the deepest running back class, according to scouts and analysts, that we've seen in a long, long time. So get the chat going here. I already see some people chatting away. We're going to read the Kolton Miller article first from Bleacher Report. I don't know chronologically whether this article came out before or after the Sports Illustrated one that I'll get to in a second that talks about Jeanty maybe not being the pick. But this is around the timeline of events. We're talking about chaos. This is where the chaos, controlled chaos began a little bit. So the first article we're going with here is on Bleacher Report by Joseph Zucker. It talks about Kolton Miller. Let me just make sure we're all good to go here. We are good to go. This was April 16th, yesterday. Kolton Miller reportedly skips off Raiders off-season program as he eyes contract extension. Offensive tackle Kolton Miller is declining to participate in Las Vegas Raiders' voluntary offseason program, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Fowler reported the 29-year-old who wants to get a new contract from the team. With the sizable fines in place, extending a holdout into training camp is often too expensive. Instead, this this is the time for the NFL veterans to signal a desire for an extension or trade elsewhere. Miller is 1 year out from free agency, has 12.3 million base salary for the 2025 season. Given his age, he and his agent presumably know that this is likely his last opportunity to secure a sizable multi-year payout. Once he's in his mid-30s, gaining a similar level of financial security will get increasingly more difficult. Miller is also correct in believing he's a little underpaid with the 3-year, $54 million extension he received from the Raiders. That deal came together in 2021 when the highest paid offensive lineman was averaging $23 million. Now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tristan Wirfs, and Detroit Lions, Penei Sewell, are both making $28 million. And while I do like Kolton Miller, I don't think he's anywhere near Tristan Wirfs or Penei Sewell money at this point in his career. In addition, Miller watched the Raiders reward defensive end Max Crosby with a massive 3-year contract worth $106.5 million. He's among the next in line if any further deals are forthcoming. The 2018 first-round pick has yet to make a Pro Bowl or All-Pro team. That's crazy to me. So it might be a stretch to call him an elite lineman, but he has maintained a consistent level of performance since entering the league, and that has been invaluable for the Raiders amid dysfunction and turmoil they've experienced in the last 7 years. He's like the one guy that survived this whole 7-year run. The Las Vegas Raiders have a new head coach in Pete Carroll and new general manager in John Spytek, though. They may not feel as wedded to Miller as the previous regimes might have been. The next 8 days could be telling us that if Carroll and Spytek plan for the franchise stalwart. They could trade him before the 2025 draft gets underway on April 24th and target a younger, cost-controlled replacement. Should Miller remain on the team through April 26th, it could show that the front office views him as a contributor in 2025 and beyond. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Let's just talk about Kolton Miller in a vacuum as a player. Really good player. I think he's probably lived up to that first round pick that we used on him way back in 2018. I will never forget being in line for Avengers Infinity War in my local theater. That was back when, you couldn't reserve seats and you had to wait in line. Watching the draft on my phone, waiting for something exciting to happen and hearing Kolton Miller's name be called and just immediately turning my phone off. I was like, what are we doing? Some random left tackle. And he ended up being a really good player. I feel as though, and this happens when you get a new regime in place and a new quarterback and all these new players, right? I feel as though there's been a little bit of revisionist history going on with Kolton Miller the last few seasons. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but it feels like when you name the pieces that we have on the roster, everyone goes, well, Brock Bowers and Max Crosby and Geno Smith and Kolton Miller and Jakobi Meyers, blah, blah, blah. And Kolton Miller's just lumped in with all those guys that we were like, yep, bang, perfect, great player. Kolton Miller the last few seasons has not been that good. And that's where I'm asking you to correct me if I'm wrong. Has he been that good? He has been really banged up. Sometimes he's in the game and he gets absolutely destroyed. Sometimes he's in the game and he plays well. There's a penalty or two called on him every now and again. He's been an average to slightly above average left tackle. He hasn't been what he was in 2020, for example. So to sit here and say, well, we should just definitely extend him, a 29-year-old who's going to be pushing 30, right, who already is pushing 30, I think that's pretty irresponsible. See what the market value is, talk to his agent, what do they want extension-wise, and then put your plan into place. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Kolton Miller has been this awesome, no doubt about it, superstar that we've had for the last 7 years. He has not been that great. The second thing they talked about is actually, no, we're not going to, we'll hold off on that. So I put this poll out to you guys as I begin to read a little bit of the chat here. Okay. Should the Raiders extend Kolton Miller? And your options are no matter what, do it, no piece washed, or for the right price. So let's read what we got here going on. I got some people. I think we're going O-line in the draft. We'll talk about that in a second. I think we go Menbu, then a running back in round 2, or maybe even round 3 or 4 running back. Build the O-line round 1 to fill out the rest of the roster. After that, running back, quarterback, or wide receiver. I think we are one good lineman from being a top 10 O-line as long as we keep Miller. So you're saying, Jay Solito, that you want to keep Miller. Okay. I'm assuming you voted for the right price. All I'm going to say is that the offense needs more playmaking. Jeanty is a great fit, a top 4 talent in the draft. just can't be overlooked, in my opinion, especially on this team. And we'll talk about Jeanty too coming up here. But as I said, again, for the right price, I would extend Kolton Miller. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he was awesome these last 2.5 years. He just wasn't. He was barely on the field for some of the time. And when he was on the field, it was okay. If he can stay healthy and if this new regime thinks they can get the most out of him, give him another 2 years, give him a fake second year, give him some guaranteed money, and then we'll move on. But that article we just read by Joseph discussed, and rightfully so, excuse me, the idea of potentially trading him on draft day and drafting a lineman. And that's where we get into our next article here. And that will be via Sports Illustrated, I believe. Yes, SI.com. This is the Boise State channel, actually. So let's just make sure that we are good to go here. Like I said, keep going in the chat, and we'll get back to those in a little bit. NFL draft odds. Are the Raiders still targeting Ashton Jeanty? This is by Bob Lundenberg. Okay. Ashton Jeanty's NFL draft odds have remained remarkably consistent over the last month. This ought to be a red flag. It's like, why does everybody think they know exactly what's going to happen? Ever since general manager John Spytek attended Boise State's late March pro day, the Las Vegas Raiders have sat atop the Jeanty draft odds. The Raiders hold the number 6 pick overall in 2025, which will be held April 24th to 26th in Green Bay, Wisconsin. In the latest odds from DraftKings, the Raiders are minus 150, favorable, to select the Boise State star running back. The Raiders are in the beginning stages of a franchise reboot with new faces like quarterback Geno Smith, head coach Pete Carroll, and general manager John Spytek. Here's the kicker. Here's the rub. Albert Breer of Monday Morning Quarterback believes Carroll and Spytek could be leaning in a different direction with the 6th overall pick. And here's Albert Breer's quote that got my alarm bells ringing a little bit. I'm not positive Jeanty's the way to go, Breer said on Breer Report. I almost said Bleacher Report. Because I look at Pete Carroll's history, I look at what he's looked for in players in the past, I look at how he's built his teams in Seattle and the investment they made over the years in the defensive linemen. Then I look at the general manager there too, John Spytek, coming over from the Buccaneers. He's got an Eagles background, so he's a line of scrimmage guy too. Tristan Wirfs was one of the draft picks that him and Jason Light picked. Building Inside Out. Great movie, Inside Out. So it wouldn't surprise me if you see another offensive lineman or defensive lineman here. And that's Albert Breer's opinion on that. If the Raiders do pass on Jeanty for alignment, Chicago Bears, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is just about Miami quarterback Cam Ward's always starting number 1. Tennessee Titans. Okay, so Albert Breer makes a great point. Pete Carroll and John Spytek definitely want to build through the line, right? And they want a good running game. But is it a little backwards to go running back first, rest of the line later? Right? I don't know. I think that, like I said before earlier, this is a moment where you really have to trust your scouting department. If Jeanty is, and here's this word again that I know is a little triggering, the generational type prospect that a lot of people think he could be, you got to snag him. If you're planning on trading Kolton Miller, and you still could probably get something decent for him because he's a top 10-ish lineman, you probably go Will Campbell or Membu at 6. And there's a lot to unpack with the potential implications of going rookie left tackle mixed with a veteran quarterback like Geno Smith. There's also a scenario. Now, look, I don't know the ins and outs of the roster. I haven't done a lot of research into what DJ Glaze did in high school and college. But Glaze was really good at right tackle this year. Probably better than Cole Miller was at left tackle. Could you move DJ Glaze to left tackle? I'm just turning up my brightness on my thing a little bit here because it's a little darker. There we go. Could you move DJ Glaze to left tackle? And it's about the scheme too, as I see Wavy Twin saying in the chat here, right? And that's another thing to consider. What does Chip Kelly think? Does he think that he needs a veteran left tackle to make sure that we get this running game locked in? because if we keep Kolton Miller or extend him, he's still on the roster after the draft up until we have the sixth pick, then I do think Jeanty's the pick. But I want to ask you this question because this happens a lot. This happens with players that people, or players visiting teams that they don't want to draft. It's just a smokescreen. There's leaks from the organization. There was one leak that said there's a contingent of people within the Raiders organization that love Ashton Jeanty. So my question to you guys is this: was Ashton Jeanty a smokescreen all along, or do you still truly believe that he is going to be the pick at 6? And also in the chat or after the fact on the YouTube comment section, should he be the pick? I know we've asked this question a lot, but really taking a good look at the state of the offensive line, and now with the Kolton Miller trade request or trade request, with the Kolton Miller request for a new contract in place, it really makes you think about the state of the offensive line. We've got our center in JPJ. We've got our right tackle. The guards are a little something to be desired. Oh, we can plug and play with those guys. But left tackle's a question mark. Can Kolton Miller live up to what he's been 3 or 4 years ago and get rid of what he's been the last 2 years? Because he has not been that good. So as you guys vote in that poll, let's see what we're talking about. It's hard to find serviceable left tackles. We have one. He's not the best, but he's pretty good. Definitely keep him, but I wouldn't be mad at a trade. He wasn't all pro or fantastic. Correction. Definitely try to keep him. Why is it a crime to be good, not great? It's not a crime to be good, not great. Well, the problem is, though, if you're asking for great money and you're only a good player, wouldn't it be smarter to get a great rookie who can be decent to good and be extremely cheap compared to the guy that's good, not great? Especially when you have the sixth pick in the draft, you're not going to always be in a position to draft the best lineman available. If the Patriots go Will Campbell, then you can get the second best lineman available, who could still be the best lineman if they take the wrong guy. You just got to weigh out all the options, and this wouldn't be a conversation if Kolton Miller was great. So while it's not a crime to be okay or good, it keeps you in these conversations because you aren't great. And that's why, we need to talk about it. If the team is trying to compete, you re-sign him, no doubt about it, unless they think really, really highly of one of these tackles, right? It depends on if you want a top lineman that in a couple of years can replace Miller or top-notch running back. The scheme, in my opinion, did this O-line a disservice last year. I mean, yeah, no doubt about it. They progressed a lot after Luke Getsy was gone, and I think that's when Kolton Miller looked better, and that's a great point. The scheme has a lot to do with it. And again, it comes down to if Chip Kelly wants Kolton Miller here, I think that's going to have to do with a lot of whether or not we keep him or not. P is going to want to protect Geno and get the run game going. A big-time lineman does both. He's making $12 million this year. If he's healthy, he's worth more than that. He probably is worth more than that. But again, you guys keep saying these things to defend Kolton Miller by saying, well, he's good. And if he's healthy, right? He's not always healthy. That's the issue with Kolton Miller. When he's on the field and he's completely healthy in a good system, he's a top 10 left tackle. When he's on the field in a bad system or he's not healthy, he's a hindrance to the football team. And he's just as good as a rookie. But when he's healthy, he's worth every penny that they can pay him. That's why you got to do this for the right price. You got to have contingencies in place. If you start a certain amount of games, you get more money to make sure he's on that football field. Not to say that he's purposefully not playing. There's a reason why Kolton Miller has been the one Raider to last the test of time from the first John Gruden year to right now. No doubt about that, right? But it is a conversation to be had. And look, I think tomorrow I'm going to make my final prediction on who we're going to draft because I'm not going to be live Thursday or Friday next week. I'm going to be at a wedding because I'm the best man. And I'm flying out Tuesday into Wednesday. So the next time I'll see you guys live on Bleach Report after Friday, it's going to be Drake May. But all that to say, Bars, I don't want to give away my prediction for tomorrow, but I'm leaning towards saying that Ashton Jeanty is not the pick. And I see one vote here that popped in at the end that's saying maybe he was a smokescreen all along, and it would be a smart one. And of course, there's always that scenario of trading down. I talked about trading up last week, and now the Giants and their GM have come out and said, we're fielding calls. Now, would I trade up for Abdul Carter at 3? Maybe. Would I trade up for Travis Hunter at 3? Absolutely. He fills a need, a big time need, wherever you throw him. Whether it's wide receiver, he's the best wide receiver in his class. Whether it's DB, he's the best DB in this class. So if Travis Hunter's there at 3, expect, is it Joe Shane? Is that the GM of the Giants? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Expect his phone to be absolutely exploding because Travis Hunter is going to be a hot commodity if he's still there at 3, and the Giants could get a small ransom when it's all said and done. So I see Feet say he's a Raider. He's good. He's earned it. Don't disagree. I just hope he continues to stay healthy. I feel like it's all a smokescreen, but depending on who is there at 6, Jeanty could be the pick. It's difficult to tell who the number one priority is. I think you're right. It also depends. I would say that if Graham and Jeanty are both there, they'll take Graham. If Graham's gone and Jeanty's there and Membu's there and Will Johnson's there, Will Johnson, Tyler Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan. I don't know who they pick. Shador Sanders is still lurking. I saw Momo and on the BR creator mock draft took Sanders at 6. I saw that not a lot of people love that. I thought that was an interesting pick to say the least. Injuries happen. I take my chances re-signing him. Don't disagree with that at all. You said it. If he's healthy, he's a top 10 lineman. You can't give that up. No doubt about it. It's just I feel like he gets injured a lot, and you've got to have a contingency in place if he goes down. And I don't love it being Thayer Mumford all the time. So there's the tight 22 on all that. The last thing we should talk about here, because I think it deserves to be talked about, and it's a good story. It's a positive story for the Raiders. Is where are we here? Jakobi Meyers. Bill Williamson, my guy. My guy. What could a Jakobi Meyers contract extension look like? And this is saying that the Raiders reportedly could extend the wide receiver who wants to stay in Las Vegas. Probably the best signing, best transaction that Josh McDaniels ever did was getting Jakobi Meyers. Jakobi Meyers was one of the Las Vegas Raiders' most productive players in the 2024 season. The Raiders need all the productive players they can get as they try to rebuild. We'll use the word reboot. I don't love rebuild, but I get it. They need veteran wide receivers. Meyers is is entering the final year of his contract, and he reportedly has interest in signing a contract extension to stay with the Silver and Black in 2026 and beyond. Las Vegas has plenty of salary cap room to give Meyers a new deal, so what will it take to get it done? Meyers turns 29 in November, and he's still in his prime. He set a career high with 87 catches for 1,027 yards in 2024. He did that with terrible quarterback play. He may not be a classic number 1 wide receiver, so the team may be reluctant to give him huge dollars. But I could see the Raiders offering him a 3 to 4 year contract that averages $13.16 million per year. That could make sense for all involved. Would you be in favor of Dave for Meyers? Can I vote in this poll? Get it done. Vote. 91% say get it done. Well, let's see if the Bleacher Report audience agrees with the SB Nation audience. I ask the council, should the Raiders extend Jakobi Meyers? For me, it's a resounding yes. Jakobi Meyers has been a staple of productivity, stability. That's a staple of stability is what I was going for there. Of consistency, of improvement year to year. This guy went from Jakobi Meyers to Gardner. No. This guy went from Jimmy Garoppolo to Gardner Minshew to Aiden O'Connell to Desmond Ritter, and he's been nothing but a professional. He's been nothing but consistent. He's been nothing but productive. 1,000 yards last year, 87 catches with that quarterback play is nothing short of astonishing. Now, would I give him T. Higgins money No, I would not. He is a very, very good to great number 2. He is a poor man's number 1. Could he get better? Sure, but he's 29. It's not like he's 24 about to enter his prime. He's in the middle of his prime right now. Last year and going into this year I would say is probably going to be the best year he's ever going to have as a pro with Geno Smith throwing in the football. Geno Smith is probably the best quarterback he's ever played with. I mean, he's gone from I think Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi to again Jimmy G and Gardner Minshew. I would, for the right price, absolutely extend him. I don't even need to wait to see a first year of Geno Smith, and I think you guys all agree, right? 3-year deal for him and Miller. Geno needs them to be productive. So that's what I would like to hear also. Would you guys just rip the band-aid off and keep Miller and keep Jakobi? Myers and Miller will both be re-signed, both 2-year deals to help win in the short term, and we can find replacements in the next couple of drafts. We can't let every vet leave in free agency. And I do think there is something to be said about, again, rewarding your homegrown talent. They did that with Malcolm Kuntz. They did that with Adam Butler. They did that with Isaiah Polamau and Max Crosby. And now they have a chance. The table, is set. The stage is set for them to keep Jakobi Meyers and for them to keep Kolton Miller, which I think is a theme here. Who do you keep and who do you get rid of? He would be an excellent veteran to set the example for the young guns in the rook. No doubt about it. I do expect us to have a rookie wide receiver on the roster that we use a draft pick on. And I still expect us sometime now to sign a wide receiver. Is that Amari Cooper? Is that Keenan Allen? Is that Tyler Lockett? Is that Hunter Renfrow? There is going to be another veteran on this staff. And maybe they're waiting to see all the free agents that they're going to sign before giving the official number to Kolton Miller's team, before giving the official number to Jakobi Meyers' team. But I completely agree wholeheartedly in the end of this poll here. The Raiders absolutely should keep Jakobi Meyers. I would say no matter what, even if you have to overpay a little bit, give him a poor man's wide receiver 1 contract. Again, him and Brock Bowers, and I think that's the thing that people are understanding when they talk about our weapons. They say, well, Geno's good, but does he have great weapons? He's got a couple good pieces. How many teams have 2,000-yard receivers or a 1,000-yard receiver and a 1,000-yard tight end? We might be the only team in the league that has that. It's like us and like the Eagles. That's pretty impressive, which brings you back to the Jeanty of it all. If you draft Jeanty and it hits, you've got 2,000-yard receivers. You probably got a Tyler Lockett to mix in with Jakobi Meyers and Trey Tucker, and you've got Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. So I could understand the appeal of going after Jeanty. I just don't know if this regime believes so much in that running back that they're going to take him with the 6th overall pick. And I have about 24 hours to decide whether or not Jeanty is going to be the pick when I make my final prediction for you guys. I might even do a full 4-round mock draft for the Las Vegas Raiders. You might be surprised at some of the people that I pick. I think I'm going to do that for you guys. You can't just sign a QB, then let the guys that would help you leave this team. That's counterproductive. Couldn't have said it any better myself, Wavy Twin. So here's what I'll say to you guys. I will see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Mountain. The last BR live stream I will be doing before the draft. And then I'll see you guys in May. Whether you're watching on Bleach Report, thank you so much for watching. Whether you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hit that like button, comment away, and please be sure to subscribe. It's free after all, no charge to you guys. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.